Devaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktin Bhavadir Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, welcome all the devotees for the morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. Today we are going to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, text number 4 and 5. 2, 6, 4 and 5. So the canto name is the Cosmic Manifestation and the chapter name is Purusha Sukta Confirmed. Please repeat the sloga behind me. tad-gātraṁ vastu-sārāṇāṁ
tad-gātraṁ vastu-sārāṇāṁ
saubhagasya cha bhājanam
saubhagasya cha bhājanam
tvag asya sparśa-vāyoś sarva-medhasya caiva
sarva-medhasya caiva
tad his
this
gātram
bodily
surface
bodily
vastu-sārāṇāṁ
vastu-sārāṇāṁ
of the active principles of all articles
of the active principles of all the articles
saubhagasya
saubhagasya
of all auspicious opportunities
of all auspicious opportunities
cha
and
bhājanam the field of production tvak skin asya his sparsa touch vāyoḥ of the moving airs cha also sarva all kinds of medhasya of sacrifices cha also eva certainly he exactly. Translation. Purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanavarna A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Please repeat behind me. His bodily surface is the breeding ground for the active principles of everything and for all kinds of auspicious opportunities. His skin like the moving air is the generating center for all kinds of sense of touch and is the place for performing all kinds of sacrifice. Purport. The air is the moving agent of all the planets, and as such, the generating centers for promotion to the deserving planets. The sacrifices are his bodily surface and are naturally the origin of all auspicious opportunities. Let us go to the slogan number 5 also. Slogan number 5. Please repeat begin me. Romani uddijya jatinam yairva yajnastu sambrataha
Arva Yairva Yajnasta Samrata
Kesa Samsru Nakshani Aksya
Kesha Samsu Nakshani Asya
Shila Lobara Vidyutam.
Shila Lobara Vidyutam
Word by word meaning. Romani,
Romani
hairs of the body, hairs on the body.
hairs on the body
Udbija,
Udbija
vegetables.
vegetables
Sorry, vegetables. So vegetables,
okay
yeah. Jati Nam,
Jatinam
of the kingdoms.
of the kingdoms
Yehi,
Yehi
by which.
by which
Va,
Va
ether.
the
Yagnaha,
Yagnaha
sacrifices.
sacrifices
Tu,
to
but.
but
Sambrutaha,
Samrata
particularly served.
particularly served
Kesa,
Kesha
hairs on the head.
hairs on the head
Samsru,
Samstru
facial hair.
facial hair
Nakani,
Nakani
nails.
nails
Asya,
Asya
of him.
of him
Sheila,
Sheila
stones.
stones
Loha,
Loha
iron ores.
iron ores
Abra,
Abram
clouds.
clouds
Vidyutam,
Vidyutam
electricity.
electricity
Translation and purport page reading is Sabha Charna on Sri Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Please repeat behind me. The hairs on his body
the hairs on his body
are the cause of all vegetation,
are the cause of all vegetation
particularly of those
particularly of those
trees which
trees
are required as
which are required as
ingredients for sacrifice.
ingredients for sacrifice.
The hairs on his head
The hairs on his head
and face are
and face are
reservoirs of the clouds,
reservoirs for the clouds,
and his nails are the
and his nails are the
breeding ground of
breeding ground of
electricity, stones,
stones,
and iron ores.
and iron ores.
Purport. The polished nails of the Lord generate electricity, and the clouds rest on the hairs of his head. One can therefore collect all sort of necessities of life from the person of the Lord, and therefore the Vedas affirm that everything that is produced is caused by the Lord. The Lord is the supreme cause of all causes. That's it. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulumilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Putale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane निर्विशेष शून्यवाद पाशाश देशधारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So today's again the discussion between Brahma and Narada is continuing. So Brahma is explaining about the Virat Rupa. In this today he was talking about the bodily feature of the Lord. So he is saying that the bodily surface is the breeding ground for the active principles of everything and for all kinds of auspicious opportunities. So the Lord bodily surface, it's a breeding ground. So all the auspicious activities can be happen in this body, the body of the Lord. And he is to describe about his skin of the Lord. So it is because the Virat Rupa, it is explained, it is kind of a Virat Rupa, it is kind of the entire creation, it is a Virat Rupa of the Supreme Lord. So it is explained each and every part so that we can understand that the entire thing is a Lord. So that is for our understanding, it is explained in that way. So his skins is like the moving air. So what it is generating, it's all kind of sense of touch and is the place of performing all kind of sacrifices. So this bodily and the bodily part The body is the place where performing all kinds of sacrifices. This is explained in the sloka by Brahmaji. And the next sloka, he was explaining about the hairs of the body. So the hairs in this body are, that is the vegetation. That's the cause of all vegetation. So in the second chapter, in the initially we discussed, during that time we saw that the trees and the plants are the hairs of the body. So hairs of the Lord. We consider as the hairs of the Lord. So whatever the trees and plants we are seeing in the mountain, so the mountains are shoulders of the Lord, and it is the trees and the plants, whatever which are there, they are all considered as the hairs of the Lord. So what is the, so specifically they are talking about the trees which are required for the sacrifices. So whenever there is a fire sacrifice is happening, if you see, there are multiple tree specific trees sticks. They will take it and they will offer it in the fire. So that specifically those trees. So he's talking about those trees. These are all the bodily parts of the Lord. And also he's talking about hairs on his head and face are reservoirs for the clouds. So in the head and face, whatever the hairs are there is the reservoirs of clouds. Why it is mentioned that? Because the head is in the top. So the head is in the top of the body. So the clouds which are there, those are all hairs of the Supreme Lord. And his nails are the breeding ground of electricity, stones, and iron ores. So the nails of the Supreme Lord, it is, compared with the breeding ground of electricity, stones, and iron ores. So this is the way the Virat Rupa of the Lord is explained. So it is just for the bodily parts, so that we can understand. So all these things are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So that to understand that, this explanation given by the Brahmaji to Narada. And also, how can we understand that Lord is he's the mountain, he's the cloud? How did we? Yes, it is difficult to understand. How we can consider him as a different parts, different living, different things. So, Lord is, first of all, we need to understand that Lord is part and parcel of everything. And in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, what Lord is saying that Agam sarvasya prabhavo mattaha sarvam pravartate idi matva bhajante mam Bhudabhava samanvitaha. So in 10.8 of Bhagavad Gita, Lord himself is declaring that I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So from this sloka, we can understand that whatever we are seeing in this material world or which are there in the spiritual world, which is explained in this Bhagavad Gita and this Srimad Bhagavatam, both are emanates from the Supreme Lord. There is a source. Who is the source? Supreme Lord is the source of all. Everything emanates from me. So Krishna is saying that everything emanates from me. So the person who knows this, they will engage in the devotional service and worship me, worship the Lord, Supreme Lord. So that is what Krishna is explaining here. So that is the reason. So if everything emanates from me, the Lord is saying that everything emanates from me. Everything is coming out from me. So that is the reason we are seeing everything as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Each and everything, all the things, the mountain, trees, clouds, everything compared with the bodily features of the Lord. So this is the way we can understand that. And also in 15.7, it is not only this mountain and this non-living things or the non-movable things, the nature is talking about the living entities also. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.7, God is talking about the living entities. Mamaivamsa jiva loke, jiva buddha sanatanaha, manasastani indriyani, vikratistani karshati. So here God is saying that the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which included the mind. So here, this is very much important that all the living entities in the conditioned world are my eternal fragment parts. So in the previous sloka, we saw the spiritual world and material world Krishna is the source. And the living entity is also the part and parcel of Krishna, all the living entities, not only the human being, any living entities in this material world is the birds, animals, aquatics, plants, trees, human being, everything is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, is a fragmental parts of the Lord. So here, in these two slokas, we can understand that Krishna is the source of everything. The BG of Bhagavad Gita 10.8 and 15.7, we can understand that everything is emanates from the Lord. Everything is, so the Lord is the source of everything. And in 10.23, Krishna is explaining Rudranam Sangarashchasmi Vittesho Yaksha Rakshanam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meru Shikarinam Aham. So here, Krishna is saying that of all the Rudras, I am the Lord Shiva. Of all of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am the fire, Agni. And the mountain, I am the Meru. So here also, Lord is explaining that it is not only this material world. He was talking about the demigods also. He was talking about all the Rudras. In all the Rudras, he is the Lord Shiva. I am the Lord Shiva. So our Lord is, Krishna is saying that I am the Lord Shiva. So we are, material point of view, we are thinking that Lord Shiva is different, Lord Krishna is different, Lord Shiva is doing all the distracting, he's control of the distraction. So, but Lord is saying that I am the Lord Shiva. Lord transformed into Lord Shiva whenever there is a necessity. So when it is explained in that Shastras that the milk is there, when the milk turned into a curd, that is the way the Lord, when he turned into Shiva, it is like a milk turned into a curd. So the curd and milk, the curd is the product of the milk. It is turned from the product of the milk. The similar way, Lord Shiva, it is coming the product of the Supreme Lord. So this is the way we have to understand. And he's talking about, he is the Kuvera also. He is the Ikshas and Rakshasas. He is the Lord of wealth. And he was talking about, he is all the Vasus, he is the Agni. And all the mountain, he is the Meru. So it is just, he wanted to explain that I am everything. For that, he was giving these examples in the 10.23 slokas. And in Srimad Bhagavatam also, it is mentioned in the 10th canto, 24th chapter and 35th verse. Krishnastu anyatamam rupam gopa vishrambanam gatam shila smriti bravan bhuri balim adat prahat vapuhu. So Krishna, it is said that Krishna then assumed as unprecedented huge form of instill faith in the coward man, declaring, I am Govardhan mountain. He ate the abundant offering. This is when there is a Govardhan Lila, that time Krishna assumes himself to the Govardhan mountain. So there is no, Krishna declared that there is no difference between Krishna and Govardhan mountain, and he is the source of everything. So then the coward months, the men and women in the Vrindavan, they used to worship the Lord Indra. So in order to ask them to worship the Supreme Lord, what Krishna did, he asked to worship the Govardhan. He said, there is no difference between Govardhan and me. You worship the Govardhan because he is the source of everything. That's what Krishna told. Because Govardhan hill only, it is giving the source of water and all the vegetables, fruits, and the grass for the cows. So everything, it is coming out from the Govardhan hill. So you need to worship the Govardhana hill. Like that, he was in the Govardhana Leela, Krishna told to the Vrajavasis. So the Vrajavasis followed and they worshipped the Govardhana hill. Then the Govardhana Leela happened. So why are we discussing all this? Because we need to understand that Lord is the source of everything. So that is the reason we discussed multiple sloka reference from the Bhagavad Gita and as well as Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should not think that Lord is a separate person, his other things are happening separately. So Lord is having a connection with each and every part and parcel of this world. This world. So and he's as a Paramatma, he is sitting with the living, even with the living entities as well. So he is connected with each and every living entities, and all the material world, the spiritual world emanates from him. So he is the soul and soul. That's why he is called as a Brahman. He's a whole and soul of everything. So we are all, that's the reason we are all called ourselves as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, because our soul is eternal. Our soul is Sanatana. So that means our soul is not made up of any of these material things, earth, water, fire, sky. It is not made up of any of these key things. Our 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 soul is Satchidananda Vigraha, which is similar to the same as the soul of the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Lord. So Supreme Lord's body and soul, there is no difference. He is the Satchidananda Vigraha. So we are also Satchidananda Vigraha. So we have the same qualitatively, we are same with the Supreme Lord, but quantitatively we are little, we are very less. We are the Supreme Lord is Vibhu, he is a big, and we are Anu. So we are very small, very atom. How we are a small atom? The difference between a small atom and the big mountain. So the small atom, and if you take the small piece of gold from the gold mine, the golden mountain, if you take a piece of gold, so the gold quality between the mountain and this piece of gold, both are same. The quality wise, both are same, but the size wise, it is very small and the mountain is very huge. The similar way, the Atma and in our souls and the super soul, both are same, qualitatively same. That's the reason we are saying ourselves as the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And quantitatively, it is different, because quantitatively means the Supreme Lord, he is explaining that himself as the entire creation, the material creation and the spiritual creation and all the living entities, all are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And we are one fragmental part of the Supreme Lord. So that is the difference between the Supreme Lord and us. So that is the reason the Krishna is explaining the person who understand that perfectly, that I am the source of everything, he will worship me with all his hearts. So that is the reason the self-realized souls, they understood that we are nothing in this material world. We are the servants of the Supreme Lord. That is the reason they left their material activities. They are completely dedicated themselves to the service of the Supreme Lord. But since the people who are in the general mass of people like us, we are not yet realized completely. Even though we are in the path of realization, we are not yet realized completely. That is the reason we are having the legs in the both the sides. We are one leg is in the material life and one leg is in the spiritual life. And there are some people in this material, there are most of the people in this material world, they are both the legs in the material activities only. They never aware of everything. The source of everything is the Supreme Lord. We have to serve the servant of the Supreme Lord. We have to go back to God. That knowledge they don't have at all. So there is no difference between them and the animals. So animals also, they don't have any knowledge, and we cannot preach the animals also. So that is the reason Lord gave the sixth sense to us to understand that what is the purpose of life and what is the dharma. So if you consider that the dharma, if you take the sugar, what is the dharma of the sugar? The dharma of the sugar is sweetness. If you take the chili, what is the dharma of the chili? It should spicy. And what is the dharma of the fire? It should burn. That is the dharma of the fire. It is not dharma. Suppose a small child, it is putting his hand in the fire. Okay, the fire should not think that, okay, the small girl is touching, so I should not burn. So whatever it may be, the quality, the dharma of the fire is the burning. So whoever it is, whether it is knowing or unknowingly, if you put a finger on the fire, it will burn. So that is the dharma. Dharma means you cannot differentiate the work and the activities and the quality of that particular thing. You cannot differentiate that. So dharma means, if it is sugar means, you cannot remove the sweetness from the sugar. So if you remove the sweetness from the sugar, it may no longer is sugar. So that is the reason the dharma of the sugar is sweetness. In the similar way, the dharma, which is for the human being, for us, what is our dharma? That is the Sanatana dharma, which is our servator mode. We are a servant of the Supreme Lord. That is our dharma, to serve the Supreme Lord at according to our mood, we can serve the Supreme Lord. So anything we can serve, whatever the, so that is our original position, that is our original dharma. To explain that only, the Sanatana Dharma, we are calling that, whatever, to realize that, to understand that, there are so many scriptures, so many literatures, everything is created to understand that our original dharma. What is our original dharma? Because this material world who are all born, initially they are all like a Shudras. Shudras means they don't have, they are born in ignorance. They don't have any spiritual knowledge. So when we get into the spiritual, when we in the path of self-realization, we can understand that who is God and who are we, and what is the relation between God and us, and what we have to do in this material world. Currently, most of the people, they don't know what they have to do in the material world. That is the reason we can see there are so much of theft is happening now. Currently, if you see the cyber theft, this theft, and the politicians, they are accumulating so much of wealth. So they are getting into this kind of accumulating the wealth, which is made up of earth, water, fire, and ether, and earth, water, fire, ether, and air. So this air, whatever these 5 elements, whatever the accumulation happening in this material world is made up of these 5 elements, and it is going to be destroyed one day, that we are unable to understand. And we are also, our body, we are currently in this body also made up of these 5 elements only. This body itself, it is not permanent, but we are trying to means achieve everything in this material world. All the land of, give me the land, house, give me the house, car, everything I wanted to have. So that is the mentality we have currently. And we are trying to accumulate more wealth, so that what is the purpose there, we don't know. But we have to accumulate, we are accumulating with the more, the people who are the ignorance, they are trying to accumulate more and more and more and more and wealth. Then that, because they don't have the understanding of basic understanding that we are temporary in this material world, whatever is provided to live, to keep our body and soul together, and to understand the Supreme Lord. That is the basic thing here. With the why we are visited this material world is to understand the Supreme Lord, and then we have to go back to our original position. So that is the purpose this material world is given. But after coming to this material world, leaving that, which is the things to understand what we are thinking, that we are trying to exploit this, enjoying this material world. Because of that, all the problems are happening in this material world. Whatever the problems are happening in this material world, we are the one and only reason. We cannot blame the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, he gave the facilities here, and he gave the scriptures also. He gave the acharyas also. Everything he provided in this material world. You just need to follow one acharya, follow the scriptures, then understand me and come back to me. That is the purpose it is provided here. But we came over here, and what we are doing? We are trying to exploit this material world. That is the wrong things we are doing. So when the soul realizing that this is not my activity, this is not my original position, then the spiritual path is widely opening for that soul. So for that, to guide that soul, the acharyas and the scriptures are there. For what? To show the path to go back to Godhead. So today's slokas, we understood that the bodily features of the Lord, everything is in the material, whatever we are seeing, all are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Everything is the bodily features of the Supreme Lord. We are also part of the Lord. And what we discussed, that our position is very, very minute in this material world, and our position is in the material world is temporary. Our original position is, the permanent position is, should be there in the spiritual world. The material world is given to us to realize that this is the temporary place, and we have to serve the Lord. That realization only we came over here. So we have to work in that path. Otherwise, what will happen? Otherwise, we will be, unless we realize that, we will be here in this material world only and struggling for existence always. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.